Well, just like give us a little bit of your background. So you obviously have your own branch now, but like where were you and before that, before you sort of made the jump?
Sure. So my name is Ben Phillips, and I've been in mortgage lending since 2001, if you can believe it. And I opened up my own mortgage company in 2008. So I quickly saw the writing on the wall that I needed to be a part of a bigger lending institution around 2009 during the housing crisis. And I went to work for a company that's no longer in business today, but I was with them until about 2013. And I met the Mortgage Right guys, and I knew I had to move to Mortgage Right.
You say you knew you had to move to Mortgage Right. How do you, what was the thing right there?
Oh yeah, the thing is real too. So I think when anyone is working in the mortgage industry, you find quickly that it's not just about your ethical work and your strong personal communication skills, getting the loan done on time, pleasing realtors, pleasing the clients. It's not just that. It's the people behind the scenes that actually make that happen, that actually support your business, support your brand, and bring that all together. Because when you're dealing with clients and their goals to purchase the home of their dreams, you're dealing with, it's like a fingerprint. They're all different. They're all unique. And so it's the people behind the scenes that are working the deals and making it happen, the underwriters. It's all about that backstop that gets you to where you are. And that's what's happened for me in this short 10 years with the Mortgage Right dynasty that has come, I mean, full circle. I mean, it's absolutely exploded.
Yeah. That's awesome. So when you were at the other place, did they not have that sort of did you not have that back office sort of support and that behind the scenes support?
Well, that's why I chose to be on this recruiting today, because I'm a little bit shy about doing all this stuff where you're putting yourself out there to let everybody know where the real place is. So yes, that place sold me all of that, hey, here's a suitcase and we've got all this in there, we got all that in there. But the truth is you have to shake hands with them, trusting and believing that they actually are going to do their those things that they say they're going to do.
Right.
And all I can tell you is 10 years later, I couldn't be more proud of that tough decision that when I left that company, came over to Mortgage Right. It was a big, important decision. I laid it all on the line to do it, but I knew in my heart, I knew in my soul that this was the right decision. And I am very thankful that I made that decision, because we have just grown and grown. I had goals and dreams and visions, and my financials, my various homes that I own. I had those dreams in my pocket. I kept them with me, but it's a reality now. I have massive income now. The things that I've obtained, I didn't realize I'd be obtaining them. And I live a wonderful life. And it's all because I made that decision. And it was such a tough decision to leave a company, because I knew there had to be something better. But I'm so glad I made that decision.
How'd you hear about it?
So actually, my business partner went to high school back in Memphis. And one of his buddies at his school, they went to church together. And that gentleman is Chris Carter, the owner of Mortgage Right. So, yeah, so that's how we hooked up with him years later after being in the mortgage business. We didn't even know that he was in the mortgage business. We just found out. And when we started seeing some issues with our company that we were with prior to Mortgage Right, we decided to give him a call. And the first call was like, "Oh yeah, guys, I've got some really cool things working on. I've heard about you guys." And then the relationship developed from there. And it took it took us a while to make the decision due to where we were. We were very successful at the other company. And so bridging that gap to making a decision to leave a company, it had to be thought through. It had to be an intelligent decision that was really, whether you're praying about it or whether you're seeing all the potential issues that go into switching. You've got employees that you're dealing with sometimes. In our case, you've got leads that you're dealing with. There's so many important aspects to consider that really can concern you into almost the point of worry. and that worry can fester and cause you to make a bad decision. But as I said, where we sit now and looking back, we laugh about it. It's such an honor to work for a company that you trust, and I don't have to worry about anything. It's such an honor to work with a team of people that are like-minded, that want to grow, want to help you grow, and they've got your interests at heart. Those things really, really matter at the end of the day, because, when you go home at night, you've got your family, but you spend more time with your work people, so they better be work family. And that's what it's all about in this world, is having family around you all the time that you can trust.
So you said you met him, and this is what started off kind of like like friend of a friend. So that you're
Right.
already sort of a little bit in the trust. But it sounds like you didn't meet him and then go, oh, I'm jumping on board. It sounds like you heard about it and you're like, okay, cool, whatever, maybe. And then you kind of kept doing your own thing. And then as you started to notice problems, you came back around. Is that correct?
Yeah, it took some time. Important decisions take time, and that decision probably took 6 to 9 months before it actually came to fruition. Because when you're dealing with things, sometimes you're not 100% sure that you even understand or know what you're dealing with or why. But when negative things keep happening, and you're used to making things only positive for the people around you, at some point there becomes that concern of, wait a second, what am I missing here? It's always negative on this side of the coin, and I'm always pushing the positive and sacrificing, and they're always empty promises, so to speak, right? And
Right.
so at the end of the day, it's about never stop seeking the answer. Never stop. When you believe that something can be better, you've got to focus on that and find that better. And that's what I did when I found Mortgage Right.
For sure. Nice. Awesome. One other thing you said in that first answer, I wanted to circle back on, double click on. You said there were some things that make you kind of hesitant, like you've got your current leads, you've got your current, it sounded like you were talking about like your employees. So you're thinking about, should I go? But then you're like, well, what about this staff? Like, they don't technically work for me. Was that kind of what you were referencing? Is like, how do you coat the whole thing?
Absolutely. When you're running a mortgage branch, you're responsible for the paychecks for the people that work there. And and I had sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month worth of leads that we were, that are entangled in that mortgage branch under that other corporation. And so when you make such a big, impactful decision, not just on your life, but on the people's lives that work for you, you have to do that with with a certain amount of care. That shouldn't be something that you just, jump quickly on, right?
Right. And I guess like it's not good business to let all your leads dry up before you, like, how do you be true to these people without like letting all your leads dry up to make a clean cut, right? Is that part of the concern as well?
Absolutely. It's almost as if there's an ethical dilemma there.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you start thinking about leaving another company, whether it's good reasons or reasons that you're just not fully sure that you've fully comprehended, keep in mind there's people out there managing branches that have only been managing branches for 2, 3, 4 years, and so it's not as if we learn something new every day. But as you get more experience and you have 5 to 10 years of experience, it's easier to decipher that. But as I'd only been a branch manager for a corporation for just 2 to 3 years. Obviously, I was a branch manager at a bank prior to that, but it's 2 different industries: banking versus mortgage lending on the secondary market. So there's just so much more to learn and sort of delve in. And then in this business, there's so many other ways to not only drive up your revenue, but whether we're talking about decreasing our costs for our P&L, whether we're talking about increasing the leads so that we can convert more leads, whether we're working on our sales practices and working on realtor co-marketing. There's so many variations of things going on at company one, so that break is not. There's no such thing as a clean break, and you're in that ethical dilemma of how do you do that ethically And at the end of the day, it's very simple. It's about the customer first. When you put the customer first, if there's an ethical dilemma, you're always in the right side of the coin. And that's why I decided to make the switch, because our pricing at the other company was absolutely jumping all around at will. And even though I don't want that necessarily out there because it's just not really appropriate, I'll just say that it's when the company is like your family and they're treating you, they're interested in your success first. They're interested in the client's success first. It's cohesive with the goals I have, because that's how I build a brand. That's how I build a legacy. That's how I build something for my children. And I've got 3 wonderful children, and I want to leave what I'm building for them. And that's what mortgage rights help me do.
Perfect. And I made a note there talking, we can cut the specific our prices part jumping around. But yeah. All right. So you're saying that once you realize, so you sure it feels like an ethical dilemma to switch, but also once you realize that not switching hurts future customers, it's an ethical dilemma to stay, sort of.
Absolutely. And you're concerned about losing those leads. You're concerned about losing employees. You're concerned about losing your place of business. There's all sorts of things that come into play. You're even concerned about the short-term potential lost income.
Right.
So because mortgages take 30 days from start to finish, and that's when you sell your first one. So so to do it cleanly, it's not an easy decision, and it's not a decision to take lightly. So you have to really put the thought and care into that, but also you have to measure up the company and be able to read into whether they're being who they are, who they say they are, because marketing is marketing, but what the company does and how they fit your personality, how they fit your future goals, and whether they're really going to deliver on their promises that they're making. Those are the critical elements that's going to determine this short life that we live. And that's an important financial commitment that you're making. So, so I couldn't be more blessed, and I want to pass the word.
There's a guy that we work with at Content Workshop who always says culture beats policy 100% of the time. And so that thought that you're saying, like, yeah, sure, marketing's marketing, but are they doing it? I tell people, they're like, all right, so how do I sell this product? I'm like, is it good? You got to make a good one. Is it good? All right, we can get into marketing after you answer that question.
Yeah, if you turn on the radio, how often do you hear, "We'll have the lowest price guaranteed"?
Right.
Well, only one person has the best price, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's about this balance, this like interesting balance between, time, quality, and price. And sometimes the price is lower, but sometimes that means that the time or the quality will suffer, which can actually raise the price at the end. So it's a delicate balance. And I find that Mortgage Right has found the delicate perfection of balance.
Is part of that balance, I'm trying to see if there's a question up here ahead, but I'll just like interject real quick. Is part of that balance that you get, I mean, that sort of like P&L, basic of the P&L, like part of that balance is like you get to decide which places you want to worry about cost and which places you want to worry about quality. Is that part of what that is? Is it you decide it?
Yeah, I think that's what's awesome. You get control at Mortgage Right with your P&L decision making. And at the end of the day, person A versus, me, Ben, I actually have my unique traits, my niche, if you will. And I make money off of not only advertising, but off repeat business. Just a couple of years ago, I had over 100,000 leads. And of my closings in the previous year, 33% of those clients that closed the previous year came back and got another mortgage from me. 33%. So our business boomed. I never dreamed that I would 10x my income again. I was just wanting to do presidential. That was my original goal, is be presidential, right? I mean, as a mortgage lender, you can do presidential, but I never dreamed of where I actually got. I'm a dreamer. I've got a vision, and so it's allowed me to do things in my life that are extraordinary. And I think that at the end of the day, when you think about making a switch from a company where you're, whatever the struggle is, whatever the hurdle is, at the end of the day, you want to get to a finish line where you can be at peace, where you can be excited, but rest assured that the people around you are looking out for your dreams and goals and your clients' dreams and goals. And when that culture comes together and does just that, that's what that family is. And that's when that culture beats policy every time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So a little bit more technical. What is the process, like the nitty gritty of it that got you started? So you say, all right, we're making the jump. I'm not sure what we're going to do about all these great folks I work with. I'm not sure what we're going to do about these leads, but it is time. What was the next? You pick up the phone. You're like, I'm panicking. We're doing this. I kind of imagine I was working for a bank, and we're in the middle of a meeting, and they had done a lift out of another bank's like corporate lending team.
Right.
And it kind of reminds me of that, the way you're like describing sort of that. He walks in, he's like, okay, I'm here. Are we doing this? I don't know what to do.
Right. So I picked up the phone and I said, hey, we need to meet. And I went down there and asked for their help, asked for their advisory to let me know how to do it, because I was ready to make the switch. And that's the great thing. They're going to help you make that switch. They helped me make that switch. And, I went directly to my current company at the time, and went in there with confidence, because I knew I had a plan. I knew exactly what to say. I knew exactly what to do. And their reaction was their reaction. But guess what? I remember walking out of that, hey, I quit mode, and feeling the weight of the world off of my shoulders. And it just seems like what that did for me was it gave me these sort of wings, if you will. And it made the next 6 months of my life very exciting, because when you make a switch, there is a little bit of an excitement to that. But as you progress through that transition, and you begin to feel the benefits of what you were promised, and you get that sense of family, that sense of culture. Wow, this is so different from the previous place I worked. All of a sudden, it's like rocket fuel and liftoff. So that's what happened with us. I went from 4 loans my first month to 20 loans my third month. And I think the best part about it is, heck, we do nearly 2,000 mortgages a year now. So it's pretty exciting to see what that did, because you could do 20 loans a month times 12, and you got your 240 deals, and now I do around 2,000 a year. So that it's significant results. They helped me excel, and that is confidence.
So there's a question on the sheet that says, as a branch manager at Mortgage Right, what do you believe makes this company different from other mortgage companies? It kind of feels like you're just folding that answer into every, that question into every answer. But is there anything specifically that stands out? Like, is there one thing that's kind of different or is it just that consistent commitment to like fulfilling their promises?
Yeah, the corporations get too big sometimes, and then you become a cog in the wheel, if you will. You become a number, and you feel a little less important. I would say that the great thing about Mortgage Right is we act big, but we're really not that big. And we just have very strong processes. And I'll give you one of those processes that brings this all in, is that we meet 3 to 4 times a year and hang out and get to know each other and do really, really cool things. Some things that I've never done before. And I'll give you one example. I've actually done it twice with Mortgage Right, but we go clay shooting almost as if it's a golf course. And we go around this golf course on these really cool, 4x4 vehicles with shotguns hanging out in the back. And we're shooting clay popping out and just having a good time for a good, solid 3 nights. And also we take that opportunity not just to get to know each other and spend that quality time building those bonds, but then we also have learning and ways to, we're managers are shooting ideas off managers. Managers become closer that didn't know each other. This manager from California that I met and this manager from New Jersey that I met. And we become more of a cohesive unit because we learn some of their strengths. And maybe some of those strengths aren't going to be your strengths, but maybe you learn some of their strengths that you can take. And I'm always learning every time, little niblets. There's companies out there that do all different types and styles of running their business. They're all different. And that's what's awesome, because you don't just have a one-stop shop. It's not just hey, this is my shoe and it fits everybody's foot. Right. It's like they tailor to your foot. They help you get the right shoes, the customized shoes, so that you can run your race good, so that you can run your race, so you can run your race and win. Right.
All right. Was there a specific? I don't. You said you didn't want to get into too much, and I don't want you to have to do that. So, without being too specific, is there like an event that happened that made you make that decision? You had just said that there were, you had said that there were a few things that kind of stacked up, a few things you saw, like negative things coming out for your clients or for your team. Is there anything like specific, or would that be too revealing?
I don't mind sharing. I just don't want the name mentioned.
Oh, I'm not even going to ask the name. I don't know the name.
So at the end of the day, it's, you either leave because you believe that a company can serve you better as a branch manager, or you believe that there's so much negative things happening at the other company. And for me personally, my clients would get pricing. We would sell 20, let's say we sold like 3 or 4 deals a day, and the pricing was X, but we don't lock a loan until they come in and drop off the documents and sign the paperwork. And so let's say that 5 clients were coming in, and pricing's getting better nationwide everywhere. Well, now the pricing's worse for no reason.
Right.
So a lot of that sort of happens in our industry, I think. And so I was specifically looking for transparency. I was specifically looking for trust. And, when I have a question, I would like to get a non-tiptoed answer that feels as though, oh, okay, well, I feel even more, I feel less educated now that I've asked the question and gotten this lengthy response that doesn't make any sense. So at the end of the day, I can only do this looking back, but I got a group of trustworthy people that have my back, and that's the way they're going to run their business. And that is a culture that you can get behind. That's a culture that I want to be a part of. And that's a culture that anybody can be a part of.
So where did you start from? What's your career arc position-wise to get to the branch manager?
So I've been in the business for 23 years. I got my start at Wells Fargo, and I was selling mortgages in 2001 for Wells Fargo. And the mortgage side was quickly the side I wanted to be a part of. I loved it. I loved the fact that every client was different. It wasn't like making a widget in a factory, It's like we might be getting those people approved the same way, but heck, underwriting guidelines can change too. And it's about solutions. It's about being valuable because of what you bring to the table. And I think what we bring to the table is mortgage lenders, branch managers, salespeople. We wear not only a lot of hats, but we're like scientists. We're like doing projects, trying to figure out how to get these folks fixed when they take an application and we find out they didn't make $200,000 a year. They actually make $100,000 a year, but they might get a bonus every other year for $100,000. So we have to work. We have to be sleuths. We have to be scientists. We have to operate on these issues that come up after the stated application, and that's what makes a good team. Do you have someone that can do that? Because eventually, if you grow enough, you can't be operating on every deal. So you can't do I can't do 2,000 mortgages on my own a year. But what I can do is I can build a team if I have the right support system that allows me to do that. And that's exactly what we've done at Mortgage Right.
Awesome. That's Perfect. Also, I just realized I'm looking up, like my notes are over here. You like I'm having to look a little bit more because you just talk fast, which is great. I love the speedy. I'm the same way. So please don't slow down. If I keep looking off, I'm not like watching the game. I promise.
Okay, cool.
I always hate it when I see somebody. So hang on, I'm just finishing this last note, but I didn't want to get self-conscious about that. I can't do 2,000 mortgages on my own, but if I have that team,
A support system.
support system is what you said.
Be able to build that system. That's exactly what they did.
Right. So you keep talking about like you get to just live this better life. How does Mortgage Right align with that for you? Like the personal, professional. How does Mortgage Right align with that for you?
Well, when you have dreams and goals to own buildings and to own VRBO properties and to own multiple businesses, that's always been my thing. And when you have the right support system that helps you get your business almost to that point where you can say it's autopilot, that's what's wonderful about it. I'm more of a, this is more my cup of tea. I've had radio shows. I've done radio commercial spots every year since 2010. And I mean, our marketing budget is $1 million a year. So you can imagine I'm not even in the sales of mortgages anymore. So what I get to do is I get to, build this amazing team, build this amazing process and sustain it through all the various weather that came our way, from interest rates jumping up to, to becoming a fully underwriting lender that actually can, we package our own loans up and sell them directly on the secondary market, to holding packages of these loans and actually servicing these loans. I've watched it all happen over the last 10 years, and I was a part of that. I was at the table helping make those critical decisions so that we could grow. And it didn't come with like instant knowledge from the beginning. It came because they were engaged with me. Mortgage Right was engaged with me. I was engaged with them. And that got us to the point where now look at where we're at, doing billions of dollars in mortgage lending every year. Mm-hmm. I didn't really answer your question.
No, you did. Well, no, I guess you didn't. Yeah, no, you did. You were talking about your personal dreams and you want to own multiple businesses and you want to have a legacy. I'm going to make a note here because you said it earlier. Talked about legacy hire for your kids. How many kids? You said you have 3 kids?
I have 3 kids. They're super successful, straight A students. My youngest isn't getting grades yet, but she's 6. She's my dream girl. She says she's going to marry me. It's amazing to be a dad and to be an intentional father, focused on my children. And frankly, I don't think I would have the time to do that if I didn't have the support system that I do at Mortgage Right. So it's a very valid discussion point too, because I go to all my kids' track meets, their basketball games, basketball practices, ballet, and I have that time because mortgage lending is a very amazing. If you work correctly and learn how to run your business effectively with the right team supporting you, I'm trying to bring that all centered around the fact that what's important to me is my family and the legacy, the financial side of things, because I didn't have a father in my life. I didn't have I didn't have a real successful child upbringing. And so to be where I'm at, I take stock in that and appreciate the fact that what I've accomplished, it wasn't just because of me. It's because of the people around me. It's because of, just like I met Alan, Mike in 2013. So I've been working very closely with them since 2013. I got to say that the people that I work with, they care about us and we care about them. And what that does is when you have 2 successful entities and they work together on their goals, and they have families too. And the dream is to take care of your family first, take care of your business, take care of your clients. And it's like, does this need to stay a secret? I don't know, maybe so. it's just such an incredible thing to be able to live a life that I do. And it's all because I made an important decision. And that important decision was to switch to Mortgage Right.
Yeah, that resonates so hard, man. Whenever I had my like I quit moment, I wrote in my journal, I suspect that you can be successful without engaging in zero-sum capitalism and still be helpful to other people. And I want to try and prove that. And so, yeah, what you just said resonates so hard with me. So, all right, we covered that question. I just want to make sure I have all the questions because you've kind of answered a few of these for me already. All right, so everything has been perfect so far, but like, what sucked? What was a challenge? What was the hard part in setting it up? Like, where were the speed bumps? And maybe they helped you, or maybe there was a couple of spots where it's like, look, if you're going to do this, here's one thing you gotta be able to do on your own before you can make the jump. But like, what was tough? What sucked? What was hard?
What was hard about the switch, or what was hard about coming to work for Mortgage Right?
Start just being your own P&L, like being where the buck stops.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you've got him, when you're opening up your own branch and you're running the P&L, I think the hardest part is when you're at an inflection point, you're saying, okay, I want to increase my costs in this expense bucket because that's going to bring me more revenue over here. And it's that inflection point of, okay, I know I need to do that. I believe in doing that. And you get the why because you know what you want to do on the revenue side. And it's extremely a wonderful idea. And that's a tough decision though, because there's sacrifice involved. When you make financial decisions to minus money out of your account that you've built up, that you know that not only are you impacted by that, but your staff, your employees, the company, they're impacted by that. So the process is simple. When you have a good team to help jump those ideas off you, it's like, hey, I want to do this. Well, of course, if I tell the company what I want to do, they're going to say yes every single time. But if I was brand new, I would go to the company and say, hey, what do you think about this?
Right.
Because again, you want to make the best decisions. So you believe in yourself, but you also got to believe in your mentors. And they give us the power to make great decisions. But those aren't to be taken lightly because people's lives are, just as important as your own. Mm-hmm. So you've got to make decisions that are, so the point is what stinks about it is when you are left with a decision and you can go 3 different routes and you're trying to decide which one to take. And hopefully you're able to phone a friend. And that's what you get with Mortgage Right, because it sucks not to have a friend that's going to be intentional, jump into the situation with you and give you their take, a fresh set of eyes, a fresh set of a different brain. You could tell just by watching me talk, I'm very animated, I'm very high energy. But if I have 3 different solutions and I'm not sure which to pick, I want to talk to a different personality. I want to get a different take on the decision. And I think that's, again, that it comes back full circle. It's like a work family because we all need each other. And so all of our decisions matter, both individually and collectively.
All right. So I'm going to hit you with 2 more just so I don't keep you too long.
Right.
Your energy is great and I could talk to you all afternoon. So stop me if I'm starting to run up against time. So what's some advice you got from colleagues, mentors at Mortgage Right, or, a Mortgage Right at Jace, or, as you're making that move, what's that thing that motivated you to do it? And then what's maybe that piece of advice that like affected you once you did it? So like, is there something that motivated you? And then what's something that you think about every day that's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. If you're talking to Mortgage Right now, and if you're watching this video and I'm in your brain for a minute and you're thinking about it, there's something on your mind. There's something bothering you. Write that down. What is the thing that's bothering you? Because at the end of the day, when I came to Mortgage Right with my issue, with my concern, I felt like I was talking to my best friend. And yet 10 years later, they're still my best friends. But they weren't. They were strangers then when I met them. And so that's why I think even if you're not 100% sure that you want to make a jump, it's the fact that in my story, I trusted to be, I wanted it completely confidential. They gave that to me. And so when I came to them, they gave me great advice, and I took that advice, and I'm glad I did. So I guess I just try to relate it to the person that's thinking about making that jump or thinking about, whatever the issue is that they're dealing with. Write that down. Let that be your focal point. Because if you're not getting the right answers from your current company, if they're not giving you if they're giving you that runaround answer like I did from my previous company, where you feel less smart than when you ask the question, that's usually a good starting, a red flag, if you will. You might want to keep looking. You might want to keep talking about that. So you can come to Mortgage Right. It'll be confidential. They whether you work for them or not, they want you to be successful. There's plenty of mortgages to do in this country. So we need healthy competition. We should all be friends as competitors. We actually learn more by being friends. And I've always felt like that was the best way to approach the mortgage business. Is not our competitors are not our enemies. They're really our friends. When you take that approach, it sort of opens that lens to be able to see things a little bit differently. And it gives you the opportunity to be able to see, hey, you know what? These guys are going to keep this confidential. I can at least just lay it on the table. And that's what I did. And so what stinks about that is just the fact that you're scared to do it the first time. You're scared to put yourself out there, be vulnerable for a moment and say, this is really my concern at my current company. And once you are able and willing to be vulnerable enough to share that information, I think what you'll find is that we probably already knew all about that. And, that's what's so great about it. There's a lot of conversations that go on in the industry, but you can rest assured that if you're looking at Mortgage Right, we want you to win regardless of whether you come. So confidentiality is an important aspect of that.